And I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm trying to figure out. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Mm-mm. While she's getting that together, y'all know how the technical difficulties be trying to take us out, but we not gonna let it. We still gonna come on in. So for everybody who's here, hello, hello. Welcome to Wife Talk. We are here tonight, coming from the ATL area. Just letting you know to come on through, join us tonight for our broadcast. This is show 6, and so I see Nicole is there in IG World. Hey Nicole, how are you? And S. Marie, can you hear me now? Or say something? You can hear me. I just can't hear you. Whatever you did earlier, do that again. But while she's working on that, make sure y'all like the broadcast, tag the broadcast, because we are here, honey, Wife Talk, talking about mind. Oh, I think I hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, honey. Listen.
Awesome. Okay. Now we're in business.
Honey, we are in cooking with hot grease, as
Hot
they say.
grease.
Yes. So listen, for the people, I was trying to tell them that this is episode 6. Can you believe that we have been doing this already for 6 episodes?
I am excited. I mean, this has been nothing less than amazing. And we've had some great opportunities to share, to listen, to learn with one another. And I'm here for it. I love it. I'm excited. I can't say it enough how excited I am to just be here to chat with you wonderful ladies about what we are, which are hot wives. And we are all about that mind, money, and marriage.
Mind, money, and marriage. And so listen, we have been having a ball, really coming in talking, trying to, get some things. So hopefully y'all notice we had a new intro today. I'm really excited. I love it. I'm telling you. It has kind of, shifted a little bit, changed the game, gave us a little bit more professionalism. So, it's all about working out the kinks, because it was, we just came together, brought this concept. So again, as we progress, y'all gonna see progression from us. But at the end of the day, what won't change is it's gonna be good content, because when we get to talking, you want to know that it is, again, mind, money, and marriage. And that covers so much for so many people, because even if you're not married, you still are in relationships. You're still maybe vetting the person that you're with to see if they're even marriage material. You're still, kind of out there trying to see if you want to find the one that you want to spend the rest of your life with. And if that's the case, you still can get some information. You still can get some wisdom, some knowledge, a little some from, us as well on here. So I'm hoping that I know we came through. I hope everybody can hear us and see us pretty well. I see Nicole says congratulations. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, we appreciate that.
It. So for everybody who's watching us, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, IG, we appreciate it. But ask Marie, how was your day? What's going on with you?
My day was just lovely. Went to work, got up good, woke my eyes open. Anytime you open your eyes is a beautiful day. So I can't complain because my eyes were open and everyone is safe. I had a rough couple of weeks. But today was a great day. It just felt good. I feel good today. I was excited about our wife talk conversation tonight. So it's been lovely. What about you, Ayla?
You know what? It stays something going on up in the A-Love camp, but at the end of the day, it's a good day, honey. Listen, every day is a good day because we wake up and get a chance to do this, and I love it. We've been having some great people on in our comment section, and so, hopefully tonight won't be any different, but I know that one of the things that we do with Wife Talk is we have wife confessions. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with the wife confessions, it is something that a great concept that S. Marie came up with. And it's an opportunity for you to share, some of the things you may have going on. And so, a lot of times we want to be anonymous, and some people even put their names, but you want to get feedback from people about your situation, what you're thinking about, what maybe has already happened. You want to see if you can get some people on your side, or are they against what you're talking about. Whatever that looks like, it's your time to confess whatever you want. And then we give you our 2 cents. And of course, it's our opinion. As Marie has, some titles and things behind her name. So she might can give you a little, medical diagnosis, but your girl was just giving you her 2 cents, right? But I think we had a good one for tonight, right?
We do. It is a little different. So I will read it, but I will say this. Again, as A Love said, we are here to provide guidance and to have conversation. At the end of the day, if you do not like our responses or our conversations, you do not have to follow it. We are just here to be a blessing, hopefully, and to be of service. So we're going to put that out there. So this one, we're going to put it out there, right?
Yeah.
So this one reads, Hey, hey, wife talk. My husband and I have been married for over 16 years. We are considering the possibility of exploring an open marriage. And we are seeking guidance as we take this to the next level. I want to know how and what should be considered if we choose to make this change. We trust each other, but I do have concerns on how we should talk about it beforehand. And I want to make sure we keep a solid relationship if we explore the open lifestyle. What is your what advice can you give us about an open marriage? And do you know of any other couples or experiences that you can share to let us know what to expect? So I would say I will start with that last statement. Because I am a life coach. I am a certified master life coach and relationship coach. I will never discuss anyone's information with anyone else except for that person. So when you say, do you have any other, couples or experiences that you can share? I will never share that. And that's out of respect for them. And if you were in the same boat, I would expect you to want me to respect your boundaries and your privacy. So
absolutely.
With that being said, hey, love, do you want to start or you want me to go to it?
Go and jump on in.
Okay, so I'm going to jump on in. I'm putting my little coach hat on, right?
Yes.
So, you exploring this lifestyle, as you said, and I'm using your words, no offense, to each his own. If this is something you're choosing to do, go for it. It is no one's business what happens between you and your spouse inside or outside doors unless you allow them inside. And that's when the public gets to have their opinions and conversations and dictate and judge on what you should and should not do. So, foremost, I want to say this is your prerogative, and there's nothing wrong with people doing different things because whatever floats your boat, let it float so you can keep traveling. Okay, so that's first. When you ask for, advice, I will say this. I'm always going to tell anyone that I coach or encounter communication. I know you stated that you guys trust each other, which is phenomenal. But when you start to bring other people into your marriage, things get a little different. There's going to be a bond built with that other person. And if it's going to be multiple people, that may be a little different. But if you decide to have a one person addition to your marriage, there's going to be a relationship built between that person and your spouse, or maybe that person and you. I don't know which way you're going. And again, it's your private business. However, understand that you have to make sure that sound communication happens before you explore this connection, right? Because you two are married. This is something that you two have decided, hey, we're thinking about this. So obviously there's been a lot of talk about it. And again, there's nothing wrong with your decision if that's what you choose to do. Just make sure that you have been open about your expectations and you encourage one another. You need to talk about what you want, your fears, what expectations are you going to have throughout this process? Because again, it's always about strong foundations. So no matter what lifestyle you have, whether it's spending money, people, children, whatever, building a strong foundation is always going to be key in whatever you do. So that line of communication is going to be your lifeline. Our communication gets us everywhere in life. Closed mouth will never get fed, right?
Absolutely.
So that's first and foremost. Then set clear boundaries. I'm a boundaries girl. I think I said that in the first two episodes. I have to have boundaries and clarity, right? So you need to establish boundaries. How often is going to happen? When is this going to happen? Who does it? How it happens? Everything that you're thinking, talk about it. If it crosses your mind and you're like, that may not be important, it is, because you thought about it. So you want to make sure that you guys set those clear expectations and boundaries so nothing is left to the imagination. Like, you want to get everything out. And as you continue to explore and you take action, you want to make sure that you guys are having regular check-ins. Like, check in with your spouse and say, hey, is this something you still want to do? How's this working? Whatever it is. And this goes for anybody, not just this particular situation. This is in any situation. So I'm really
Mhm.
giving broad guidance and advice, or if I may, or
Right, right,
words of
right,
wisdom, as I will call it.
right.
But just, that communication and those regular check-ins, check on any concerns. You guys need to make adjustments. You want to keep that open dialogue with your spouse at all times, because again, that goes back to the very first one, communication. We have to do check-ins. Hey, are you happy? Are you still good? Do you feel different? Did anything, go wrong? Or are you feeling some kind of way? Or are we still good? How is our marriage still going? We're tapping into this different lifestyle. Are we still good? And then another major thing is, you said trust. You guys trust each other. Jealousy happens, insecurities happen. Make sure that you are conversing constantly about that. And I see A Love shaking her head. Yes, because we're human, we are emotional, and sometimes we are unstable. Just,
Mhm.
it's given. We're not
What you
all
feel like today may not be what you feeling like in 3 months. It's the
absolutely.
reality of relationships.
It is. It is. So you definitely want to make sure that everyone's comfortable and that there is, no room for interruption, or no room for, someone else altering how you feel about your spouse and, what you're going through. Because again, some people enter your life and they don't always have good intentions. So you
Okay.
want to make sure that I'll tell you, a friend of mine, I'll never forget. Her name is Latoya Pratt. Latoya, if you're watching, I love you, girl.
Hey,
She always said,
Victoria.
she said, you have to have the right picker. She said, you're picker wrong, gal. She's Bahamian. You pick her wrong. If you pick her wrong, you make bad decisions. And that has always stuck with me.
Mhm.
So I tease about that, but just make sure you don't leave opportunity and room for people to alter your emotions about your mate, and to step
Right.
in and take something that you've built and twist it around, right? And
Mhm.
then I'm going to bring it up to respect, and then I'll let you have it. But make sure that when you're making these decisions and you're having these conversations, that you are respecting your spouse and their opinions. Because again, when you have these conversations, remember, you have to have safe zones.
Yeah.
Your home, your conversations, those are safe conversations. Your spouse should be able to say anything to you at any given time. Now, mind you, of course, timing is of the essence. You don't want to just randomly have conversations. It has to be in a private and safe place. But make sure your spouse feel comfortable having conversations with you and truly being honest. So if some sort of insecurities or jealousy kicks in, make sure that your spouse and yourself are comfortable saying, "Hey, babe, you know what? We tried it, we succeeded, we're done, I can't handle it." And it's okay to be mature and say, I can't handle it, I tried, it didn't work out. Because again, if you don't have that conversation, what's going to build? Animosity, frustration, anger, and that just leaves room for too much, that too many things that you just don't want to pull into your marriage, because you said you guys trust each other. So obviously you are in a good place and you do have conversation, because this is a really big conversation to have. But just
Mhm.
make sure you continue to have those conversations. So that's my tidbit. A Love, what you got, girl?
So before I go into my 2 cents, I want to read. Nicole had put a comment up and it said, "No, please, marriage is sacred by God. You will regret if you and your husband decide to do open relationships. Please know that God will not be pleased. Don't destroy your marriage." And I know for a lot of people, that is the thought process behind
Mhm.
open relationships. And I'll say this, I'm not a believer. I mean, it's not anything that I would personally want to be involved in. However, like you said, to each their own. I mean, you grown, you do whatever you feel like you need to do,
Right.
for whatever reasons. But I guess for me, number one is think about what made you all decide that this was something that you needed
Yes.
in order to have this experience in your relationship. Because if you want to bring somebody in, then to me it changes the dynamics of your marriage.
Yes.
So having trust is good now. However, we all know that as soon as something changes, see, because when you bring people in, and this is a thing, Marie and I both have attended Mr. Dale Lawrence and his soul ties movement. When you talk about soul ties, opening your marital bed up,
He's a,
opening up your physical self up to other people, to where you get, and it starts off physical.
yeah.
But somewhere along the line, there's going to be a conversation. There's
Yeah.
going to be something done. What if that person satisfies you better sexually than your spouse does?
Mm-hmm.
We happen to be creatures of emotions and feelings, and
Mm.
the sexual pleasure that you get from somebody else outside of your household. At what point, if your spouse and you are together and they recognize that, will they become jealous? Like, okay, so you didn't do that with me, why do
Right.
you do that with him? Why do you do that with her? You have to realize that when you open that Pandora's box, you can't close it back. When somebody gets opened up, because say that this person does something that you've never done before.
Mm-hmm.
What if somebody else is doing something now? Your spouse is expecting you to do the same thing and you're uncomfortable with that. See, it's a lot of things that once you start, you trust now, but will I trust you if I suspect that you're enjoying being with him more than you're enjoying being with me, or that I
Absolutely.
want to have intimate time with you, and just like, okay, well, let's call old girl or let's call old boy.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, will you start thinking like, well, why do you always want them in now? It
Right.
used to be just you and I, so am I no longer satisfying you? Then not
Right.
only jealousy, but the insecurities come in. When you
Absolutely.
start so it's a very slippery slope. And I see Joanna put agreed, bringing other people changes the dynamics of the relationship. It
Absolutely.
sounds great, when you think like we trust each other, we love each other, we just want to,
Yes.
get into, some different things. Be careful, because again, soul ties tend to become something that you can't control. You can't
No.
control how you feel. And I'll say this: at what point you say y'all trust each other and you have open communication, you talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
However, if I go back biblically,
Hmm.
even in the Garden of Eden, when Eve bit the apple and they decided that, oh well, we know we got we a little bit more aware, we're going to put on fig leaves and stuff to cover up because we're naked. See, they didn't worry about that before, but they
No.
knew when they crossed the line, they knew, oh, we got to cover up because we're naked. And when God came into the garden, he said, who told you that?
Exactly.
How did you
Oh,
know that?
that's beautiful. Yes. That
So that to me is what happens
ooh,
when you open the door to open relationships. At some point, good
absolutely.
evening, Chantel. At some point, you're going to position yourself to
Absolutely.
open the door up to something coming in that may change things. And then the awareness. So I trust you now because we're talking about it. But
Mhm.
if something makes me feel better than what I've been feeling before, and I want to kind of keep that going, at some point, will you still be able to trust me? Because now maybe I'll start lying, because maybe I say, maybe you want to meet up for coffee. Well, I know that we normally do it,
Right.
but we all normally do it together. But how do you feel about me and you doing it? We just keep this to ourselves. Things
Mhm.
change as people get exposed to different things. And so it's
Absolutely.
extremely important to not only think about how y'all feel today, how are
Mhm.
you going to feel on down the line?
Down the oh,
How are you
see?
going to feel? See, you gotta do more
You
than just
got
think
that.
about how I feel right now. You got to think about what's going to happen. It's just like, people who go out and you say, okay, I got money, I'm living a life, I'm single, I get me a little sporty two-seater car. But it's they gonna work for you when you get married and you have 4 kids.
Absolutely. I
It
love
may be good
that.
at the moment, but you got to think on down the line
Yeah,
of whether or not this is going to still be working for you
right.
as things change.
Absolutely. Those are all valid points. And, again, That's why I said those top things.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you said relates to what? Communication,
Absolutely.
respecting one another.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, if someone says, "Hey, let's go out for coffee," was that in your set of boundaries? Did you have that open line of communication to say, "Hey, it's okay to hang out, with these people outside of my knowledge or
Mm-hmm.
my presence?"
Mm-hmm.
So again, it is definitely what you said, a very slippery slope. But
And
as
what starts off as sexual attractions, emotionally,
absolutely,
when the emotions get caught up, that's an entirely different. Now you've changed the whole scope of the game. And I say
absolutely.
this: I was looking on Google for just some statistics, about
Hmm.
open marriages, and it says about 4 to 5% of the U.S. population is currently in open relationships.
Oh
But
wow.
when it gets to going to talking about divorce rates amongst people who participate in open relationships, it's a 92% failure rate.
Yes, that is true.
92% of people who trust each other and try it end up in divorce. Now, that's not to say that you can stay married and be in a, committed relationship and not get them divorced. But at the same time, if things are going good now, maybe explore other things that y'all want to try and do. Maybe you're going to introduce some other things, whether it's sex toys, whether it's, what I'm saying, different positions,
Role
whatever it is.
playing. Because listen, you can be somebody every day of the week. You can be a different person. You can be a nurse
Baby,
one night. You can be a doctor
role
the
play.
next. You can be a firefighter, a police man or woman.
Right.
You can be whatever you want to be. Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And again, as a coach, I will never, deter anyone from doing anything. I'm always going to give you, the highlight of what it is, of what if you want to succeed in this, is this is your goal, I'm going to tell you, hey, this is what you should take in consideration and talk about. But again, it is a slippery slope, and it's difficult. As A Love said, you may feel this way today. Today the skies are blue, but tomorrow they may be green. And who's to
Mhm.
say? As she said, there may be some things that change, in this whole, scheme of arrangements, and your feelings will change. And when you bring other people into your marriage, regardless to what situation it is always going to be difficult, because
Mhm.
you no longer have, two opinions. Now you have multiple. You have to consider other people, you have to consider their feelings, you have to think about safety, you have to think about a lot of things. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's not something that I personally approve of or would do. But again, I am never going to deter anyone. I will just say that it is something that you guys need to discuss from A to Z
Early.
multiple times. Um,
Mhm.
and then again, learn to reevaluate and adjust, because again, we both pointed out today is blue, but tomorrow is green. So when you get to green tomorrow, it's time to reevaluate, because it's not clear blue like it was yesterday. So when those feelings change, you have to take those in consideration and be mature enough to talk about it. And these type of situations take a heck of a lot of maturity. Chantel, I'm
Listen,
not
it
married.
takes a lot of work. I mean, even in the things that I'm reading online, when I pulled up and Chantel, she's not married, but swinging is a non-negotiable. You
Absolutely.
know, the amount of work, and let's just put it out there for even for singles, being married is a lot of work. It
It
takes you having to, compromise. It takes you having to look at things from different perspectives. It takes you having to, and Joanna's there, our takeaway is discuss early, and as your needs change, discuss again.
absolutely,
You know, the
absolutely.
thing about it is, as you're moving forward in these type of scenarios,
Hmm.
it's so many other things to take in consideration, and so before you make the move, try to figure out what is going on in your relationship that makes you feel like you even want to do that.
So,
What happened? Was this something that you've always wanted to do? Is this standard practice for you that you've done and you just feel like, hey, we were caught up and I didn't think they were with it, but maybe now they're a little bit open. Go back and get down to the um bottom of why you
Mhm.
want that. What is it that you're seeking? Are you not being emotionally, because a lot of it, like they say, it requires a lot of trust, a high level of trust,
High
a
level of
high level of communication, but it also requires you to want to know what is missing, or maybe people may say it's nothing missing, but at the same time it should be if something is different. It's just like,
right,
if you have low potassium, it's something in your body that you may start doing that
right.
that makes you think like, why am I eating more of this, or why am I doing more of that? It must be something.
Absolutely.
I'm imbalanced. What is going on that makes me feel like I need this now when I used to not need it?
Indeed.
Get down to what that is, because if your communication is good at home, or if you're emotionally you're satisfied,
Right.
and you got to look at just a lot of things
A lot
that
more.
will cause you to want to bring this change in, because again, once you open the door, it's hard to close that up.
Yeah,
um,
it's a Pandora's box. It really
it
is.
is. It really is. Let's see. Nicole say, "Amen." Every day of the week, I will be your nurse on Monday, your touch up on Tuesday. I'll be a purple fruit on Wednesday. I'll be a red
Okay.
rose on Thursday. Your love on Friday
Listen,
and Saturday. I was all in for the one I love, no matter how many years have been married. And
absolutely.
you have to,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
cute. But Chantel said, of course, effective communication in all areas is imperative. And the thing about it is, looking online, most women, they say, are the instigators of, or initiators of open
Yes,
relationships more so than men.
more so. And that's true. And to be honest with you, this is me speaking and not the coach me. I've seen that as well. And it's very confusing because previously I always thought it would be the men
Me
who
too.
initiate this
Mhm.
type of engagement, or I'll
Mhm.
use Jada Pinkett's word,
Entanglement.
entanglement.
Yeah.
I never assumed there would be a lot of females who would like to tap into this.
Mhm.
But but again, generational changes, right? We're all different. Our
Mhm.
lifestyles and walks of life are different. We are raised differently.
Absolutely.
And whatever is driving you to it, again, more power to you. But it is going to be a slippery slope. It is going to take more than just, hey, I trust you. It again, a marriage, as someone else that I can't remember who said, it is sacred.
Yes. Nicole. Mhm.
Nicole, and allowing anyone to come in and tap into your world, that's difficult.
Mhm.
I will say this: I am not a sharer of certain things.
Correct.
There are certain things I will not share. My spouse being one of them.
Mhm.
That's just different.
Right.
I give a no.
Absolutely. But
So
I'm gonna tell you, when you finish, I'm gonna tell you this, what the statistic I just, or something I just saw online.
no, open. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
So it appears that it says more than half of Gen Z want open relationships. So that lets you know, as younger individuals are more open to that than older individuals. And it says that Gen Z isn't interested in finding the one. More than half, which is 59% of Gen Zers, either want an open or a
Mhm.
polyamorous relationship.
And that's a new one for me. I was like last year old when I find out what that was.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's to each his own, but it definitely takes a lot of, she said, because they want immediate satisfaction.
Immediate
You know
satisfaction.
what? That's a very valid point, because I honestly can't tell you what they want, but what I can tell you is there's a lot of faith that's going to be lost in
Yeah.
people when you tap into these things. So again, these checks, these conversations, these
Mm-hmm.
boundaries, these expectations, they have to be clear. You
Yeah.
can't teeter totter either way. There has to be a mutual understanding. There has to be guidelines set, because for me, I will tell you, it's not something that I would tap her into, because I, I feel like he gave me one.
Mm-hmm.
When you find your spouse, you find your mate, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going through thick and thin together. I always bring up the coil, right? There's three: me, my spouse, and God.
Yeah.
I don't need knowing me, I don't need another attitude. I don't need anyone else in my pockets. We talk about mind, money, and marriage. I don't
Right.
need you on my mind because I think enough
Period.
about the loved ones that I have. I don't want you in my pocket because I love to shop. And I don't I don't need anyone else loving or trying to compete with me with how I handle my spouse.
Girl, Nicole said no extra problems, but I want to go back to
No
what
extra
Wanda
problem.
said. How do you begin to set boundaries in a relationship that did not have any in the beginning?
And that's a very valid point, Joanna. What boundaries did you have when you first started? And,
Hmm.
my question would be, is this something that you guys did before separately and you're just now coming together? Was there infidelity and that is leading you to this? Are you
Hmm.
trying to cover up something? Like what? And you brought it up. What is the purpose behind having this type of relationship?
Hmm.
What's bringing you to it? And again, your reasons are your reasons. They're yours. You never have to justify them to me. But my point is, I don't believe people just come up and say, hey, this is what I want to do today. There has
Correct.
to
See,
be
that's my thing.
something.
Because at the end of the day, if you want multiple sex partners, then you can be single and do what you want to do all day long. So for you to have taken the time to get married to someone
Absolutely.
and be in a relationship, and I forgot how many years have they been together?
16.
So for 16 years, you have been with this person, and now all of a sudden you feel like, we decided that, we're talking and we want to have a open relationship.
Right.
What has occurred that has made you feel like you want to introduce that after going 16 years strong
Of marriage, yes, with one person.
with one person? So you again, you have to think about that. But I will say this too. Chantel made a good point about people that, she was a couple. I'm put it back up, but she used to know a couple and they had, they were swingers. And
Mhm.
what happened was, like the statistics say, they eventually divorced and the wife ended up marrying one of the men who was part of the swinging weekend parties. And so, with that being said, that just lets you know. And I'm like, Chantel, look, what you say is still a no for me. Single, definitely, what I'm saying, it's no for me. I don't want to. But at the same
Absolutely.
time, you got to think about when you bring something in, 9 times out of 10, you're opening the door up for somebody else to come in that somebody will prefer
Yes,
more than you.
more than you. Absolutely.
It's people know, the newness of things, like when you go to school, they always talk about, y'all, I don't know if y'all ever said this, but when people came when they were freshmen, the boys will be like, oh, it's some fresh meat coming in,
Absolutely.
right? It's somebody new that we are is different. So you want to, people always want to get caught up in the newness of things, but sometimes the newness can take you on down a different pathway.
Different
You
path.
also have to think of, even when you think about it from a perspective of drugs. Sometimes they may say, "Oh, we're just doing, little light drugs." But that's a gateway into some
Right.
serious things if you're not able to handle it. And for most people, because you want that gratification, because you're searching for whatever that feeling is, and you get it, you want to keep pursuing things to have it, right? So it
Absolutely.
means that today we might be bringing in Mike. Mike might be cool, and we might be all right. But then we might bring in Dexter, and Dexter's coming in, baby. He is playing no games. And so if Charles can't handle what Dexter was doing, is that going to be a problem? Or vice
Right.
versa. Maybe he brought in Bianca today, but then, maybe, in a couple of weeks, he may be bringing in somebody, Megan.
Right.
And now you're looking like, whoa, be careful and make
Absolutely.
sure as you go down the road, because what happens a lot of times, maybe it's not the two of you that's going to get caught up, maybe it's the third
You're the
person.
person,
And
right?
if the third person is unstable, because a lot of people look like they've got great sense when you're talking to them until something clicks because they're not getting what they want. So what if you say, okay, this, we tried it, we didn't really like it, we're cool, thank you, but no thank you. And they snap because they were enjoying what
Enjoying
was going on.
absolutely. And you know what I pondered over this conversation. She says soul ties and STDs are real.
Oh, real baby.
That is
Yes, you better tell them,
something
Chantel.
that you have to consider. Absolutely. I did leave that part out. But here's my thing. There are certain cultures, right,
Mm-hmm.
that I admire. And I won't name one because there are many, but they have arranged marriages or however they get married, and even if you chose your spouse,
Yeah.
there are she said stalker alert.
Stalker alert. Yeah. You better say it, Joanna.
Right. But there are marriages that they find other reasons to love their spouse.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, as a person, not as a coach, dig into the reason as to why you love your spouse. Don't look for physical satisfaction. That should not be your leading factor to do anything. Um, you there are reasons why I love people,
Mm-hmm.
right? My spouse makes me laugh. That I he why me? Because you made me laugh. And at
Mm-hmm.
the time, that's what I needed. And that laughter is different with him. It will never be the same with anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So find reasons and focus on those reasons that brought you to that person. And focus on those rather than bringing other people in to focus on different things. And
Mm-hmm.
we talked about, role playing, but spend quality time together, doing other things. There are other ways to spice up your marriage or to, engage in fun. We talked about some of them on Valentine's Day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Date nights, spontaneity. You can find other things that help you to become one. If you, and again, I don't want to speculate one way or the other as to what brought you to this, but I will say this. If it is the lack of spontaneity, become spontaneous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If it is a physical thing, find the physical relationship that you need with the spouse that you have.
Yes.
I I fear when people do this as a human being because again, we can say all day I trust you, but the moment I'm having a bad day and I'm feeling some type of way,
Mm-hmm.
those emotions are going to creep
Yeah.
in and
Mm-hmm.
take over. Right? That's going to
Mm-hmm.
alter your day. That's going to alter your week. It's going to alter your mind, your marriage, and your money. Right? You're
Mm-hmm.
building a foundation. Last week, we talked about visions, right? We
Yes.
talked about having a vision as a couple. 16 years ago, when you had this thought in your head, I'm going to marry him, I'm going to marry her, did you have this thought then? What was
Right.
your vision then?
Right.
And what is your vision 10 years from now? Is it adding this other person? Is it
Mm-hmm.
stepping out in your marriage? And if it is, that's on you. We're not here to judge. But you must be mindful of the conversation that we're having to coach you because, again, it's a slippery slope, it's unpredictable, and people have needs and they change over time, and that's understandable. But try to work with those needs before you allow someone else to come and change your needs or change your way of life. Because again, someone said stalkerish, that you don't
Period.
know what you're going to
You
get.
don't know what you open yourself up to when
Absolutely.
you allow things to.
Watch Tubi TV.
You
There's
better watch
plenty.
it. You better ask somebody. Listen, it's people out here who are predators and
Right.
waiting for somebody who has a long-term relationship like that and think that, yeah, I'm waiting on somebody who's been married 16 years because I can go in there and turn them out because, they probably been doing the same thing. They've been doing the same thing, missionary style or, whatever. They've been doing this for a long time. So I'm going to come in
Right.
here and spice it up. Well, can you really handle it? Or what if you get started and y'all are doing good and then somebody has maybe, a health issue and maybe they've got high blood pressure and they need to take some kind of medication and now things don't work like they used to. Are they
Right.
going to be okay with you still doing the same thing when they aren't able to participate like they used to?
Right. Because
Is it
that
okay for
attention
you to
goes
still get
somewhere else.
yours when he
Mhm.
can't get his? You know what I'm saying? It's
Absolutely.
so many avenues you have to think long term. And if you at any
Absolutely.
point think, oh no, he's not gonna like that. Oh no, she's not gonna like that. That
Right.
may be an indication that you don't need to do that.
Exactly. And that's why I started off from a coaching perspective. These are the things that you have to take in consideration because everything that you said, A Love, I'm sure it has crossed into their minds, if
Mhm.
not once, twice, more than three times. Because
Mhm.
again, there has to be an evaluation of why we're doing this, why we're considering it, and how we're going to move forward. That's always going to be important. And I encourage anyone to thoroughly think about any decision that you ever make when it comes to your spouse, your children, your any family member that you have, because these are people that some of these people you didn't choose, but you chose your spouse.
Right.
You didn't choose your spouse on someone else. And again, I'm not judging. And if you truly, because I don't want anyone, oh, I can't use this coach because she's biased. Absolutely not. I'm going to give you a professional opinion. And what that was do these spot checks, right? But
Right.
as a human being, there are certain things that may not float my boat. But as long as they float yours and your mate, you do what you want to do. But think about it. And I recommend doing your own research. A Love has pulled up some great statistics, right? So you want to make sure that you see this percentage of divorces or separations and, oh,
Mhm.
well, running off with, I think you said running off with someone that they were involved with in this club. Think about those things. How will you live with yourself if you've spent 16 years with your spouse? Are you willing to throw that away? Are you willing to compromise that? And again, I'm not trying to scare anyone. I want you to think maturely,
Yes.
not emotionally, and not with your flesh. And I will tell anybody, I think I say this all the time, pray about it. I don't make decisions without praying. I am an emotional person. I will tell you, Aries all day through and through. I need clarity. I need understanding. It can't get by me. It has to. You have to make it make sense. He tells my husband tells it all the time. You got to make it make sense, but yes, you have to make whatever you're doing make sense.
Yes.
So when you decide, hey, this is the love box we're on, perfectly fine. I would love to hear from you 16 years from now and see if this is still the decision that you made and if it's working out in your favor. Nicole Massey, quality time is important to me one on one. I'm a jealous person. I don't trust easily, and I don't want no one touching me or my spouse partner. I'm not sharing none of my wealth unless we are married, and no surrender. No thunder in between. To God in prayers, and please trust the Lord. Read the book of First Corinthians chapter 7. That is not, oh,
Come on,
thank you.
Nicole.
Yes, she says you and your husband pray together and read the Bible together, stay in prayer. Absolutely. That was going to be my close, but thank you for bringing that
Go
up.
ahead, Nicole. Good job.
I'm telling you, pray about everything.
Hmm.
You know, I have a lot of blessings in my life, and of course there are lots of things that I feel have not gone right. And I will tell you, it's because I made an impulsive decision. It's
Right.
because I didn't think it through. And again, if you pray on it and this is still what you come up, more power to you. But just make sure that you're prepared for what's to come, because things will change mentally, physically, again, financially too. Because that's you are you going to take them out on dates, or is just going to be at home? And again, if you have
Right.
children, listen to your intuition. Absolutely. And not just women, Juwan. I said we all have a gift. We all have a gift, male and female, but you have to tap into that gift, but also tap into the gift that your spouse gives you. There's a reason you chose that one person for so long. So think about all your decisions. I would bring up the vision board again, write all of your thoughts, your expectations, your boundaries. Talk about when you're going to check in, how you're going to react if you get jealous or something bothers you. Determine how often you're going to have those conversations.
Right.
Let it sit for 1 week, maybe two. If you still have the same response and mindset after that, then you've made in your mind that this is what you want to do. But definitely pray about it.
And Yeah, Chantel, she said a lot of people need to hear this message. There are a lot of people at her job and they don't seem happily married. I said to a person, do you have date night? Write down what you like about him. She was like, I will give it a try. I learned that from Angela Lewis and P. Angela Jones' marriage.
A Love and Dr. P. Angela Jones, shout out to you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You do have to do things different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we all change. We get older, we change, our minds change, our bodies change. We don't look, the same after 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
that's a given. We are going to change
But
physically.
find new interests as you grow together. You know what I'm saying? Explore
Absolutely.
and experience together. Maybe sometimes the new experience you may need is not to to invite someone into your marriage, but to go out and eat somewhere at a different restaurant that you've never been, or go to a different city and try something different, or go learn to do salsa dancing together, or you know what I'm saying? There's so
Absolutely.
many other experiences that you can have to bring you all together versus inviting somebody in. Because you get out there and get to doing some salsa dancing and it's all sexy and it's hot and you all there. Maybe y'all will do some things in the
Okay.
bedroom that won't require you to bring somebody else in. But you
Right.
gotta be able to look at it from a broad perspective and not be so narrow minded. And the first thing that you think, okay, well, we need a little spice, or we're looking for something different. Let's swing. Let's bring somebody else in.
Right.
Let that not be, the first thing.
Your
And maybe it's not. Maybe I have done the other things and you don't feel like it worked. But at the same time, just be mindful again. Like I said, Dale Lawrence, if y'all don't know him, follow
first.
Mr. Dale. He has a movement called the Soul Ties Movement that speaks about, the connections that people have, and skinships. And skinships is,
Yes.
actually sexual. Because of course you got, really kinships, friendships,
Mhm.
skinships, you get all these things. And each time you connect with someone on a intimate level, that's hard to break. When
Yes.
Nicole said multiple spirits, when that gets into you,
Yes,
it's
that's
very
intense.
difficult.
Yes, you can't just shake them off. And again, when you grow with people, man, by the time God sends my
Hey,
husband,
Donna.
absolutely, Donna, get ready. White Talk is all about getting you ready or keeping you ready, staying
Mhm.
ready, being active. Absolutely. But this was a really A Love, because I told you, I said, I don't know if I want to do this one. A Love was like, yes, we
No,
are.
we're doing this, baby. We're doing
But
this one because when it helps people. I mean, again,
absolutely.
it's the level of communication. And sometimes, what, we have a lot of surface conversations with the people that we're with. You know,
Absolutely.
and you don't really get down and talk. And so maybe y'all talk. You know how sometimes when you're first dating, you just like, oh, we on the phone all the time, and you go to sleep.
Right.
No, I know you sleeping. No, I don't want to go sleep. We can talk a little longer. You want to do that first thing on your mind when you wake up. Last thing when you go to bed. Once you
Right.
get married and life starts lifing, things start changing. Then it's
Change.
like, child, yeah, he in one room and I'm in the next. He doing this thing, I'm doing this thing, and you tend to grow apart. Sometimes it
Yes.
takes work to maintain that relationship. It takes work to do all that. But at the same time, as you're getting older, you should be changing. As you change, grow together. Maybe y'all need to be starting, what are you talking about? Have deeper conversations, because now as you're maturing, what do we need to talk about? What are our goals? What are our visions now? What do we want to do? What
Yes.
do we want to leave as a legacy? What are some things that's going to
Absolutely.
make us have purpose and passion in our relationship, to where it's all about us and how we moving forward? Those are the things to consider
Hmm.
as you're getting older.
Wait a minute. Who's the coach on the phone? Who's the coach on the phone? Wait a
As Marie,
minute.
as Marie is.
It's A Love tonight. Bang bang.
I'm just
You
here
did
for
that.
to make the comments come up.
No, but that you said that perfectly. Because we do change as people, and that's okay. Change is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that we do, think, whatever it is, there everything is bound to change just a little. But don't be so quick to allow others to come in. That's always my pet peeve.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you take away that sacredness,
Mhm.
right?
Yes, I think this is what Nicole was saying earlier about marriage being sacred.
Yeah, it is. It's very sacred, and you do take that away. So again, not deterring you. You just have to think about what you're doing, because you married someone and there's a coil. You wrapped yourself around this person and said, I am him, he is me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be difficult to add another him or her in that relationship and then to think about it. And I will say, are there children involved?
Mm-hmm.
You have to think about that, because what we don't realize sometimes is our children have to deal with our mistakes, and we don't look at it that way, but they do. Everyone that we are entangled with or attached to, we're a representation of them. I'm a grown woman. I'm still a representation of my mother and my father. When I go out, I'm a representation of my spouse, my
Right.
children. So it's it's hard to say, oh, I'm going to have this lifestyle and no one's going to know. Everyone's going to know eventually. You may keep it under wraps for a little bit, but that nosy neighbor is going to be all up in your business. Someone up the street, everyone's going to have an opinion. So be mindful of those things as well. Do you want everyone in your business? Do you want them to think that you're unhappy because you're tapping into this? Now, if you're one who says, I really don't care about what they think, perfectly fine. There are a lot of decisions that I make, and I'm like, you know what? That's fine. If you don't agree, that's fine. This is for me. This is what I want to do. Let me fall short where I may. However, all the things that you need to think about: partnership, love, emotions, finance, reevaluating, time. Someone brought up quality time. It's important.
Mm-hmm.
Exhaust every effort before you get to this point. And I know we are
Turn
9
off the
o'clock.
TV, turn off the phone, and have like quality time. Is
Conversation.
not have real conversation. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes set your own mood. Sometimes cut out the TV and y'all have a conversation. Put you some candles on, put you some good music
Yes,
on, and reminisce. Y'all know music can take you back, and y'all can have a good time. Somebody said, somebody talking about them nosy folks. Yeah, them nosy folks will be up in your business
and they
and expose
will.
it.
Right. And like you said, nosy. And, and I'm not going to tell anyone to care about what someone else thinks, but take that in consideration. There's
Mm-hmm.
always going to be someone who has a voice in your relationship. And then on top of that, that person that
Nicole done
you're
showed
dating,
out.
Nicole is, what did she say? Think on things. One, don't open the devil. Ooh, don't open the
Nicole is
devil
showing out
portal.
tonight, baby. Don't
It
open
is
up the portal.
hard to get rid of different spirits, and that's key. That's worse than your own. Don't
Mm-hmm.
don't add what God didn't intend, only what God has joined. Don't allow nothing to come in between. Marriage is a unity. Yes, Nicole, speak that. I feel like I gotta
I
snap.
know, right?
A covering of God who is the head. Stay in covenant with God, and your family will stay covered by your husband because of his obedience. Absolutely. Your
Mm-hmm.
husband is the lead. He's the head of your family.
And
If
that's what it says. People, some things go left because we don't talk.
Because
We
we
able
don't
to
talk.
read minds. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I
communication.
guarantee. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead, Ann. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, when people say things go left because you don't talk, a
Mm,
lot of times, sometimes people just go with the flow because they feel like, okay, well, I ain't gonna rock the boat, and
right.
you think somebody's agreeing with what you want to do, and they're really not. They're
Mm.
looking at you like, where did this come
Where
from?
did this come from? What are
What
we doing?
what is happening, you have to be careful, because the thing about it is, what if Sam gives you starts talking to you at the job about some stuff, and you come home and say, well, baby, Sam said we should be doing this, that, and the other. How is he gonna feel that Sam said, well, who was Sam, and what Sam got to do with what we're doing? Nikki may say, come and y'all ought to do this and the other. I'm gonna invite you over here. Well, maybe instead of us inviting Nikki into the house,
Into your
maybe we
house,
just need to be taking that advice and putting it into our own motion
your own,
versus adding somebody else.
adding something to it.
It's
I'll
just
tell
so much
you.
to think about. I'm saying, just want to, yeah, man, come on, that part.
Hmm.
Nicole
And I
says,
think
from
no one should ever
experience.
be able to tell you about your marriage and about
Thank
your
you.
marriage. I don't listen. I tell my husband all the time, no one outside needs to tell
Period.
me anything that you're doing. Let me know first. Let
Right,
me deal with it in my own way. Because when you
right,
hear about it from a different person, it's worse. It feels,
right.
it hits hard.
Because now,
Think
so
about
y'all talking about what we got going on? So you ain't saying.
it.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it opens up doors, and I don't care
Mhm.
fun it sounds, because I'm gonna tell you this. And
Mm.
looking at the Red Table Talk that Jada Pinkett Smith did when she talked
Mm.
about the entanglement with August Alsina,
Augustina, mhm.
even though it may have been during a time where her and Will may not have been together or may have been
Doesn't matter.
separate, they were still connected in the same household. So
Absolutely.
if you go back and ever look at the video piece where he
Absolutely.
came in and talked, he was hurt.
Yes.
He was hurt. I don't care, because this is the thing. You say you don't care about what people think about until you the one that looks like boo boo the fool. Now you don't want to be having people out here embarrassing you, because I guarantee
Absolutely.
you, if you open the door up and bring somebody in who is turning somebody out to the point where they just like, baby,
Right.
this is what I want for the rest of my life. And
That's
I leave, like Chantel said, with a new person, and you left in the cold. Now, how cute is it to say that let's do this?
let's
Because you
right.
don't want to be the one. You don't want to be the one to be left for somebody that you open the door up for. So, so
Exactly.
many dynamics that you gotta cover
Yes.
in order to make sure that the next move is your best move. Because if it's your worst move, it may not happen, in the first few people, or if it's the same person, may not happen right there, but it deteriorates what you built together. That's
What
why in
you
the marriage
built.
clause it
Yes.
says, "Let no man put asunder."
Right.
It says that. So when you invite people in, you're giving them opportunity. You've given them a key into your house. They take what you want to.
Yes.
You may have been like, "Oh, girl, those are my good golf clubs." What you mean they took them? You open the door and you let them take them. You can't say
You
anything about what happens.
right. Yeah, and you can't get mad about something that you open your world to, you know. It's a lot. She said, Lord have mercy, it's messy. It does get messy. So that is definitely why she said he thought financially we was doing the right thing. Again, communication is key. Absolutely. And it costs. That was a great point. Listen, Nicole, yes, the devil is busy and he is very cunning
Mhm. To make you think that
to
you want
make you think that
something. You
you
want somebody, no, not the key, baby. Listen, you didn't gave them the key to your house. Whatever they go and walk out, you
yes.
might say, y'all may have some money say stashed up on the mattress, and they didn't found it, flipped down, and then they were like, well, shoot, this is my money. Y'all done let me come in the house to get what I want. This means whatever I want to do, I can do it.
Yeah, and my thing is you give that person a say into your relationship. I
Mhm.
no one I just it's difficult. It's
Mhm.
difficult. And I would definitely tell you you have to manage the expectations.
Man,
You
it's
have to manage those boundaries because everything that A Love has said to you today, because she's a coach today, she is the master coach today. It's you have to set boundaries and they have to be so clear that there is no room for interpretation or assuming, because what does assume mean? A what of you and
mhm.
me?
Yep,
You can't do
all
that.
that,
You
all that.
can't have that you can't live in a bubble and think that nothing's going to change. The whole dynamic
Man,
of your
it will
relationship,
not stay the same.
it
I
will
mean,
never be the same.
in what world? Even Chantel said, you got to look at red flags. And sometimes when you come
Mhm.
out the blue with something, you got to think like, where did this come from? Let's talk about
Absolutely.
this a little bit. I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm not understanding what you're saying.
Yeah. And and again, this is just opinions and advice, right?
That part.
Ultimately, it's your decision how you choose to live your life.
Uh-huh.
We all have different dynamics of our relationship, highs and lows, goods, bads, uglies. We all have that.
Yeah.
And no one can tell you how to fix that but you. But praying on something and being willing to listen is going to open your mind, your heart, and your soul to something great
Yeah.
because you're not looking at it from a fleshly point of view. And as you said, the D. Lawrence, you're not looking at it from a skinship point of view. You are looking at it from a spiritual and mental point because everything we do, whether we realize it or not, it takes our mind, body, heart, and soul when we
Uh-huh.
make decisions. And making a drastic decision like this, it's going to involve a lot of preparation, nurturing, um, And you still on top of this, you still have to be with your spouse and have something special for them.
Yeah.
Are you going to have time to have that special time, to have those date nights, those shared activities? Are you going to open that third person up to just that? Are
Right.
they going to be able to handle that? It's difficult. Um, but if you choose to do this, and I know we're tapping out on time too, and I love, we get so deep and it
I
just
know, right? I'm just like,
quick.
yes.
Um, but when you tap into this, if this is what you choose to do, if you pray on it and you feel that your mind and your God and your spirit is telling you go for it, by all means go for it.
Yeah.
But make sure that you maintain a sound and solid connection with your spouse, because that's still your spouse. Because when this relationship, she said, it's not enough
Not
time.
no
I
time. I
know,
know, right?
I know. But when this relationship with this other person ends, you still have your spouse. And if
Mm-hmm.
you want to go another 16 years, you're going to try and hold down the fort. The same way you held on to these first 16 years, you want to do the same for the next 16, the next
Right.
50. If God willing, you want to go the next 50.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure that you really don't think of this from a fleshly point of view.
Right.
Think about it holistically, everything, mentally, physically, financially, academically. It's going to tap into every realm of your marriage and your personal space. It's not going to be a walk in the park. It is going to be different because emotions do change. Again, you can be lucky and find someone who's used to this and like, hey, it's just an act to them. Great. But will it be an act just to you? Will it be an act just to your spouse? Once you start, can you stop? How do you handle it? Try keeping it busy.
Mm-hmm.
Date night, be a different person every day of the week. Hang from the chandeliers if you got them. Try all of that before you try something else.
That
Try internally within your marriage, and pray every day. And I will say this, if you guys are having these conversations, are you praying together? And I think someone else said that earlier too. Pray
mhm.
together. Don't just pray separately.
Yeah.
Pray together about this situation. And you take a day and pray for, I'll challenge you, pray for a whole month together. You say your prayer, he says his prayer, and then y'all pray together. But listen to what that other person is praying for, because
Mm-hmm.
you never know what you're going to get from your spouse in that prayer. It's going to enlighten you on how your spouse truly feels. And we talked about it the other day is, understanding our spouse, understanding their love language and what they want. Because we may assume that they want something, but that's really not what they want. Are they saying this because it's what you want to hear?
Mm-hmm.
Don't listen to the hype. Don't
That,
listen to what you feel someone is telling you or what you want. Listen to that person. Get to know their mind, their body language, all of that, so you can have the clarity that you seek. And again, pray together a whole month straight. And if your mind is still the same, by all means, go for it. And if there's anything that I can ever do to assist, to chat, whatever, I'm available. But at the end of the day, think this through, pray on it, and see where your mind is in 30 days. If your mind is still the same, it's done deal. But if it's not, and you feel a little bit differently, then you know that something has changed and this may not have been the right decision.
That's good. That's good. That's good. On that note, for everybody who's tuned in, for all of the comments and feedback, we
Thank
appreciate it. Y'all have
you.
been dropping nuggets in the chat as well. Chantel, this conversation was so rich. Thank y'all for dropping
Thank
these. Amen.
you.
Yes, what are you saying? Reminds me of War Room. Yes, you got to get behind closed
Yes,
doors, honey, and put some things out there so that you know, because you got to think about what's important in the long run. And is
absolutely.
this temporary measure of satisfaction
Is it worth it?
worth the, you know what I'm saying? And you'll get your answer. Like you said, you invest 30 days into praying and praying together and talking and really communicating. If you still want to do it after the fact, then hey, by all means, y'all do you. But if something changes, then
That
give
was
the
your
answer
sign.
right there. Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
listen, y'all know we over time. Glad y'all stayed with us. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We will see you guys next time. Have a good one.